And welcome back, everyone, to podcast 2 of Fallen. We are once again joined
Dose.
by our lovely cast. What we kind of do with these podcasts is just kind of, I usually have a couple general questions for the players. People kind of talk about what they enjoyed from the series, and we just have a like overall wrap up of the series or of the season rather. So, my first question to the cast is favorite moment.
Hmm.
Favorite moment. I have my favorite moment, and actually, I choose two. One from when you guys are in Redwall, and another one when you guys are in Tunton. So my favorite moment in Redwall, I think, was when the terrorist attack. That was my favorite moment, and it wasn't in the moment because I think I kind of broke all of you guys there for a minute.
The terrorist attack definitely took me by surprise.
Like I really think that I remember I think during the recording some of you were
I walked away. So
yeah,
after I died.
what's really funny, like behind the scenes in real life, Jake was at my house and we were playing, and he was in another room, and
Yeah.
when he died, he just got up and walked away from his computer.
Well, what was even better was you went, "Oh, Uhtred, it's your turn," and I go, "Well, I'm dead." So,
Yeah.
and then you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Let me remove you from the turn order." And I was like, "Okay." So then I just put my headset down and walked away.
Yeah, it was that moment, like looking back, that was because you guys gotta understand the amount of planning. If you guys can remember, how I keep having to delay like that session because
The
I wanted
festival.
everyone to be there. Because
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be a big moment, and it was gonna kind of catapult the rest of the season. And just I don't think you guys realize the stress for me in order to like set that up so that everything like happened thematically, and that you guys got to see stuff. Because I mean, like I had like I think like 6 new characters I had to introduce. They all had to make sense. They all had to like talk to you, and they all had to have like pre-written dialogue about certain things that were going on. I basically
Emperor Commodus.
yeah. I mean, Emperor Commodus, Booker Twins Jr., his son, um, Sirius's parents. Like there was a ton to do there, and the funny thing was, actually, I even planned even more at the festival. There was so much stuff to go do that you guys just basically went straight for the main objective, and so let that be a lesson to narrators in the future.
We got lemonade.
Yeah,
I just want to tell you,
and that
Jack,
I left.
you should know by now that if you have a plan of us to bullshit around, it won't happen. Just based off the fact that me and Sirius threw someone off a boat and went to an unfinished portion of the game and drifted the boat.
Yeah, well, you guys did that again this season. Like, you guys went to the island. So my first favorite moment was the terrorist attack, and because I think, like looking back on it, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to execute as the narrator, and I think I did it. I pulled it off pretty well. Like, I think like just the aftermath of the like, what do you guys think? Was it like I'm serious. Like, what did you guys think about that section?
It was perfect. Like whether it was what you had in mind or not, it was so dramatic and totally, at least me, caught me completely off guard. Like it wasn't what I was expecting at all.
I definitely didn't expect to get blown up by my friends. So,
Yeah.
But
although I
like,
did slightly feel that they were murder homies.
well, yeah, like
From what
I was
before.
trying to hint, like that was the thing I was trying to do, like the entire time, and hopefully that sometimes, like hopefully if anything that gets through, I try to always hint at what's going on, like subtly. Like there was the girl who got kidnapped by those guys in those black robes, and then you rescued her. There was you've met your friends, and they were really sus, and they were also wearing
Okay,
black
I really
robes.
want to know what would have happened if I rolled really good and if I had rolled a nat 1.
Like when what do you mean?
You made me roll a destiny roll when they came into picture, and then you later on said that was to see how evil they were.
It kind of was. There was, if you would have rolled really good, I actually had Jake. If you remember,
Like if I rolled a natural 20.
Basically, there was there was a potential of a cameo. I had Gunther and Greta because I made them in
Yes.
Israel, and that was one of the other options. And it actually, had you guys stuck around the blacksmith shop a little bit longer, they would have showed up. And you guys bumped into them, I think, at the
Leodelphianate stand.
yeah, you did. And what's actually funny is that Felix actually before Vince left, there was actually I had a and I could probably show you guys later, but there I actually made an entire map and I did the entire academy of Redwall, like the college of Redwall, and I had like old Joe's shack and all this stuff, and that like that we were gonna introduce Gunther and Greta there as side characters, but it never happened because Felix, like Vince, had to leave because he had graduate school and all that stuff. So no problem there. But I think it's really fascinating. So, anyways, my favorite moment, the terrorist attack, and then my second favorite moment in Tunton, probably that ending sequence. It was so like I remember actually. What's kind of funny is that I think it was Grant actually like teared up, and I was like, oh man, I'm feeling this, like, cause I just killed Kilroy, and in a weird way, like you guys already know this, but Kilroy was always like he kind of ended up becoming like my character, because like he was always there with you guys, and he was always the constant. And after I killed him, and after the stream, I was talking to Jake on the phone. I legit had to like I couldn't talk to anyone for a minute. I was like legit upset because like I was like, man, like in a good way though, like you know what I mean, like when you have a character that I've been playing now for, oh my gosh, what, 34
Over
episodes?
here.
Yeah, like hundreds of hours of been playing this character, and like this specific NPC, and then they die. It's like I mean, it is like the death of a player character, and that's like the thing. Like there were some characters I killed this season, like Lady Redguard. That was really hard for me because these were like legit characters that as a narrator, I think you always have to weigh like the utility of a character versus like when you look at their death, right? First you have to say, okay, is it logical? And then you have to go, well, when I kill this character, anything I could do with this character in the future, I'm cutting that off. So their death really has to mean something, right? And Lady Redguard's definitely did. I mean, like it sent Vex off into the spiral that's kind of led to the rest of the story being generated. So it's definitely worth it. And I don't know. So that ending sequence when maybe when you guys are burying slash when Kilroy dies, like that, like favorite, not in a like happy way, but in a like it hurts so good kind of way. Those are my two. I don't know. What do you guys? What was your favorite moments? Here, we'll go. Here,
Mine.
I'll name people off. So, Jake, why don't you go first? What was your favorite moment?
Definitely the Paris attack was in Redwall just because that was so sudden, and I don't think really any of us expected that. Like it came out of nowhere.
How did you like the music for that?
It was great. It was definitely jarring, and yeah, I legit thought I died by my friends, which would have been a fitting end for my character, but at the same time, like felt a little gypped. I didn't get a cool ending scene, but I just got blown up.
Well, I think we talked this afterwards. Like I remember, like I remember like looking into your eyes, like when I'm like, "Hey, Jake, you need to come back. You need to get on," and you were
Wait,
like,
what?
you were upset.
I was like, let him be dead. The deed was done.
Like I remember, I literally had to get up from my chair, and I had to go find Jake in my house. I'm like, "Hey, dude, we need you back," and you were like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, Jake, we need you back." And then
I was like,
what? And he didn't
okay.
understand. And then when he resurrected, okay.
And then I think in Tunton, just that entire last episode, just because, I mean, Helena returned, and then we get to see what Helena is now, which still not 100% certain why she's a demon, but that's neither here nor there. But just Helena returned, and Helena was like she basically shaped the entire first season, and she's kind of continuing to shape the game now.
She's a
Even
worthy
two
adversary.
years, even 2 years after she's died. So I think that whole just episode was good because a lot happened. Kilroy finally died. Helena like made herself known to the party, And then we have, the weirdness with Luck being here.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So I
Okay.
think those are my favorite.
So the same thing as mine, kind of. I think those were like the two strongest moments. Like that makes sense to me. Serious, what were your favorite moments?
Yeah. I guess piggybacking off of Jake or Uhtred's sort of top moments, I'm going to focus a little bit on after the terrorist attack when we actually find out that Helena potentially resurrected.
That was a
Kind
good
of seeing like her grave kind of torn up, kind of makes your mind sort of race. Like, what's going on? This doesn't feel safe. And yeah, just kind of that uneasy feeling in the back of your mind that there's this scary prospect of a dangerous person being out and about.
Interesting. Yeah, that was. I remember when I was thinking up the plot for this season, I was like, you know what? Like, I just thought like, okay, well, I know I have like I want to introduce this miracle of sacrifice stuff, and I really want to like make it known, and I was like, man, it's like, you know, nothing scarier than Helena. And I'm like, and I'm like, I remember thinking, I remember because I was writing, I was going over some of my old notes for some of the world lore that I have about like demons and stuff, and I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Okay, and then I did some string pulling in the background, which I won't fully reveal here, but that I think was I almost didn't have Helena come back when I was originally thinking about the plot, but I think it's a really like I think it worked out wonderfully. It makes a lot of sense. So that's a great moment. How about you, Dustin or Destin? You
Yeah, Destin.
well, Dustin had
It's
an interesting
Destin.
experience because he didn't really join
Going
us.
partway through, yeah.
So what was your favorite moment? And actually, here, what's
Huh.
your favorite moment? And then, as a new player, like, what do you generally think about Fallen and like the game? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, my favorite moment, like, obviously, I have a pretty small selection to pick from compared to the other players, but in terms of, I'd have to say, the final scene with Kilroy and the grave digging. That was that's one of the first scenes that's like in all my history of roleplay that I've ever been able to put like a lot of emotion into, and like I actually was kind of tearing up myself, and it was yeah, that kind of stuck to me. That was really great, and
Well, hopefully, like that's one thing. Like, I think I don't know if this is just like how I like to roleplay, but for me, like I love the game mechanics, and like you guys know, I'm always like working on the game mechanics and trying to make this like balanced and fun. But really, like I think the things you always remember about the stories is always gonna be like those really emotional moments. And like I don't know, like I feel like our game has almost gone from being like at one moment it's this like it's a game, but the other moment it's like it's like it's literally like improv, like it's like theatric, and like so there's so much drama in it, and it's very emotional. Like I can't remember I can't, and I always kind of wanted to run a game like this, but I wanted to run like you watch like Critical Role and stuff, and you see these really dramatic moments, and you're like, oh, like wouldn't that be so great to like have that? Because like I think that makes everything else so much better because I mean the only reason you can get that emotional about it is because like the narrative feels real enough to where you can really immerse yourself and really like put yourselves in their shoe and really empathize and be there. And so
yeah,
that was always kind of a goal. So what was your favorite moment then?
yeah, I'd say the grave scene. Just
The helmet was
that,
amazing. I loved that
yeah,
detail. He
yeah.
takes off his
Hey,
helmet.
hey, that's what soldiers used to do back then, man. You don't got a shovel. You're traveling around. Got you something.
Yeah.
And but yeah, beyond that, like my opinions on like Fallen as a whole, like the system itself is it's really good. I like it a lot. It's very good at just allowing things to happen. I feel
Yes,
it's, there's not as much there's not as much mechanical red tape that you have to go through. Like there's no check we're
Wait,
echoing.
one thing, yeah. Hey, Grant, just bring down your voice. We're in the same room right now. We're actually in the same house, but just you just bring your voice down. But keep talking.
Yeah, but yeah, there just isn't much mechanical red tape. Like asking for a role, like there's a lot. I feel like the roles you have to make are a lot more broad, and like, you can you can contextualize them yourself with the DM. I feel like that's really good. And yeah, I just think it's a really good system for just really solid role plays. You don't have to go through that much in order to do things. You don't. It's a lot easier to not justify like in D&D and stuff. You have to justify a lot of things. Like if your character does something really smart, or if they're trying to like if for instance, if Jack as a DM you told a lie, and I, like as a character, and I was trying to like I can't just in Fallen I could literally just like say, oh, intuitively that just doesn't make sense. In D&D I'd probably have to roll an insight check or something like that in order to pick up the lie, which you don't have to do. That lets things flow a lot better, lets you interact a lot better. I like it a lot.
Well, because like that's one thing. Like that's I think there's, I always talk about how I don't think when people focus too much on the mechanics of roleplay, like at the end of the day, like I think a good player, by what I mean by that is like good voice acting, good like just like good like rationalization and like thinking about stuff, thinking about the story. Like you're far better off by having that than having insane stats, like for the most part, because like, or and I guess it depends on the type of game, right? But in my games I like to always be putting in little threads and stuff, so paying attention actually matters. I was gonna so Interesting. So your favorite moment was the ending scene. I was gonna ask one more question. What did you think about the combat versus D&D Destin? Because that is one thing. And actually, you know what? Let's hold that question. Because let's
Yeah.
finish this round of questioning. Let's go to other people. So, Dipper, what was your favorite moment? You're muted, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I have a couple favorite moments. I hate to be narcissistic, but they're both kind of different moments.
No, that makes sense.
But
Hear you.
one of my favorite was after the terrorist attack, Finocchio trying to save one of the hired thugs after he Minecrafted him, and then Dipper kind of breaking and just strangling him to death.
You mean murdering him?
Well, I still believe that he would have died regardless, but I guess you could look at it like that. I think that this was kind of important because it was kind of like a breaking point for Dipper and kind of like an eye opener almost.
Yeah, like, cause I'll be honest, Anakin. I kind of thought, I in my mind, and this is like, the narrator isn't always right. In my mind, I'd always thought about Dipper as like the thief with the golden heart. I didn't really realize that Dipper is Dipper has some serious problems. Like, like I would, if I as a joke, we did an alignment chart, or I like the narrator's like how his view on was everyone, and I think,
Yeah.
and actually that'll be a question later we'll do, but you were the closest to evil.
Oh, no.
But you,
It's
but
so
think,
nice.
wait, hold on, wait, think about it. You can't, like, you exhibit sociopathic tendencies. You have a very low, like you have a disregard for like life. Like the guy, remember when the guy that Finocchio we retconned that he ate, but you were like watching him die and enjoying it and laughing. And then the
It's
guy
so
that
nice
you hopped
not
up
to be
on
the
murdered
subject
him,
of evil.
and you were stealing stuff. So we'll do an alignment. Actually, that's a really good question. We'll do everyone has to rank everybody with an alignment. But
Okay, but
that's your
to
favorite
be
moment.
fair, a lot of the people that I stole from were pretty well off. So
Does that justify stealing? That's I don't think it works that
Yeah,
way.
he's stealing
I
from
think
his
it-
ancestral family watch. It's like,
that-
no, they got that money. It's a biggie.
If, if,
It would be
that's
different
where
if you
we're
gave it to
going-
the poor, but you don't give
if
it
that's
back.
where
You
we're-
just keep it for yourself.
If that's
But
where we're
I
going with
am
that, no one can
poor.
hold against Uhtred that he stole from Kilroy, because then by that theory, he was pretty well off.
Well, okay. Well, listen.
Well, look here,
Um,
buddy.
I don't feel bad stealing from the rich.
Fair enough.
What was the other moment that I had in mind?
You said it was. I think it was another Dipper moment.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
If you want to think about it, we can go to Zammy and then come back to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Okay, Zammy, what was your favorite moment this season of Fallen?
Okay, I also have a couple. one of them was obviously the terrorist attack, because in a way, that whole kind of session was, in a way, a beginning of kind of Finocchio kind of tumbling downward. Because he met Nat, which is his childhood best friend, which is like, oh, Finocchio kind of has this thing on his mind, and then boom, the whole building blows up. And that was, I think, the first time in for Finocchio that he was like, oh, I I I need to get the fuck out of here, and I don't care who I leave behind.
Yeah, because that was another thing we were talking about. Actually, you were the closest to good Finocchio. Because, like, if you think about it, Finocchio's mission overall is pretty noble. Like, you're doing this kind of selflessly for your people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know if it's just, we'll continue, but I don't know if it's a byproduct of my narration that I just, like, traumatize all the characters and they just all spiral into depravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's something you do.
Maybe.
And then another one. It was a little like mini Finocchio moment was when Nat left Finocchio. That also kind of put him in this downward spiral. And while I was role playing Finocchio a whole bunch, until the end, I didn't really know where to go with him. But then once Nat started like being repulsed by him, because it's this
Well, I wouldn't say
awful thing.
repulsed. She was terrified of you.
Yeah, it was the sheer terror. Finocchio kind of considered himself a monster, and that was kind of playing a theme that I always kept that in my mind when I continued role playing Finocchio, is that he saw himself as a monster. And then another one was the whole session when Karma left, because I think that was the most unhinged me as a player has been in Fallen, or
Yeah,
even
what the
as
fuck was Dragon
Helena.
Piss? Can we talk? Like, how did you come up with that? Okay, I didn't make any of that. I didn't make the Dragon Piss. That was completely
It
Sammy.
was just kind of like this eureka moment. It was like, oh, I need a drink, and I can't just be drinking just plain alcohol or wine. It needs to be something D&D-esque. And oh, dragon piss. Of
That
course
was
that's
so
gonna
funny.
intoxicate someone.
Well, because what's funny is like
Um,
Zammy, you're the only one that you will like Zammy, and this is not a fault. Zammy will start narrating for himself. Zammy's the only player that does it, so he will literally start like narrating for himself, and he'll be like, "Oh, Finocchio finds this bottle, and he brushes off the dust, and dragon piss is written on it, and he takes it and he starts chugging it." Like, I don't think anybody else does that. Everyone else like, and it's funny because like. I just let it go, and I'm like, where is this going? And then you blew up the building.
yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good moment.
That building blowing up, did not see that coming.
Yeah, well, that was something that was supposed to be there. And actually,
I didn't
there was
see
a
it getting blown up,
plot you
though.
guys never uncovered that I won't spoil, but like, you guys, if you guys had gone through the rest of the, you guys never went all the way through the dungeon, so you didn't see everything, and so some plot stuff. Well, that's one thing as like the narrator, like you can never expect what players are going to do, so you can put all this work into like setting up these things, but sometimes the players just aren't interested in something, and you have to respect that as the player, that they just don't do it, and not try to force it. Any other favorite moments, Sammy?
I think those were my top 3.
Standouts. Okay. Dipper, did you have another one, or are you good as well?
Yeah. These are kind of silly. But I really liked arriving in Tunton and scaring Jesse, who was scared of ninjas and
Is that a
knocking
ninja?
him unconscious. And then I also really enjoyed, although it probably made Dipper a little sad, asking the masked man for his autograph and then getting banished.
That was actually another great moment. Like, actually, as the player, like the masked man's like payoff was actually pretty good for me, because that was something I'd been hinting out at to Sirius and Uhtred, that like this entire time, that like you like, and I kind of tried to hint at it, and this is kind of going forward, like those attributes you gained like randomly from the dream, like where do you think those came from? Like, why do you think you have those? And it's like in my mind it was like because the masked man had like the dream has this effect where it can change a person, and it can make them better, but it can definitely change people, and the purpose of the dreams was to make people stronger, and like from like a not just like a physical standpoint, but like help them like go through their trauma. At least that's why they were created originally, by that other professor. And that was always a thing in my head. I'm like, oh, and then I realized like, oh, like the masked man is definitely going to try to like make a contract with these dudes, because he needs people to go protect Vex, and he does not think that they're capable of this. And it's a kind of a cool way, because from a narrative perspective, it's a way for me to give you all a common goal where I'm fulfilling what you guys all want out of that, which means for some of you it's information, for some of you it's just strength, and you want to be like just stronger, and you think that's the solution to your problems. And it's almost like this, like you guys are all working towards a common goal, but for different reasons, and I really like that. So unless anybody else.
I'm also sad that I never got to find out the masked man's favorite color.
Yeah, well,
I asked that, and I also got banished.
Yeah.
That's for season 3.
That's the real mystery of Fallen. It has nothing to do with the demons or Amon Kane or the Bright
What's
Lord.
his favorite color?
What's your favorite color?
I don't think Ivan went yet.
Yeah, Ivan, what is your favorite?
No, I did.
No, he did. He said his favorite moment was the. I think he said it was after the terrorist attack.
Yep.
So then my next question, people, kind of onto getting off of the kind of story stuff into the more mechanic side of things. So this season we had the advent of the PDF, we had the swap to Tailspire, we had a whole new magic system that like I actually fully fleshed out. So like we'll start one by one. What do you guys think about Tailspire?
Yeah, I like Tailspire a lot more.
That's great.
Like, was it worth? Because I think we all spent $20-ish or $25 so we could have it.
100% worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Like, I've played on Roll20 before. This is just way better in basically every single way.
And like, what's that other one that JT used? Foundry?
I think it was Foundry, right?
Yeah, it was Foundry, I think.
Yeah, it was
Like
Foundry.
that one's good too, but I really like what Tailspire allows you to do in terms of like 3D settings.
As a narrator, just like it excited me that I could show you guys what I was thinking in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that like I just think that it immerses you more, because like, you know, there's only so well you can represent things in 3D with like one thing I was really kind of excited for this season, and that happened a little bit, was I wanted to see vertical stuff, like, because you can do so much more vertical things with Tailspire, where you can have people climbing things, and like you can really represent it all, and that really excited me. And I also really like I think from like, to be honest, like from a YouTube perspective, showing this to people, I think it's way cooler to have something where it's an actual 3D world. Anybody else got any comments?
I also like that we're kind of like actually also rolling dice at the same time.
That
is
is
kind of
true.
cool to get to drag it out, just because I know that's one thing that we miss from not playing in person. And like it's still virtual, but it's still kind of cool.
It's better than nothing, right? It's better than what just slash roll. Anybody got any other comments about Tailspire? Because if not,
I think it'll get better with time as it gets developed.
Yeah.
The only complaint that I have with it right now is that like character tokens, there isn't that big a selection, and I think sometimes players, and I'm assuming you as a DM have narrator have disconnects between how the character how they want the character to look and how they actually look on the board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can speak for sure. It's like Dustin. He doesn't really look like any of his token.
Well, I mean, to be
I hope you
fair,
know
like
that-
I
I hope
think
you know my head canon for Destin is that he runs around without a shirt on. So
Yeah, and like only a loincloth. Yeah.
Just,
I don't know. I
his
think
he
mouth
is
is always open.
man.
I agree. I think I'm able to suspend my disbelief because like I mean like if you think about it like generally that's what you would do anyways like if you were playing in like person like I remember when I used to play in person we used to use chess pieces and so but I know exactly what you mean like it would be 9 times better if each of you could have a personalized token that would be like amazing like that would be
And
like
also
Yeah.
character sheets in the game itself.
yes I agree.
Like I love
Yeah.
having the
But
Google
here's the
Doc
thing.
is fun and all,
do you
but
think
like
do you think even with all that is the current setup we have with the Google Doc and Tailspire better than Roll20?
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
a million
Yes.
times,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Considering that I wrote my backstory into Roll20 like 5 times and
And it got
kept like
nuked.
screwing it up because I kept pressing escape.
Yeah.
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 So also that's another thing. What do you guys like? How do you guys like the new? I put a lot of work into setting up the sheets this session or this season because I kind of realized that like I and in my head I wanted to set up the sheets so that going forward they were always like I wanted it to be my whole objective was to make it I wanted it to look like it was fun to look at. Like it felt like those old D&D sheets kind of where like you actually like wanted to look at it and like it was like pretty and it wasn't just like stats on a page but it actually like it actually
like it,
looked
the doc.
thematic. Yeah. I'll have to share
Yeah.
that at some point here for the people who are listening and who actually like the very small amount of you. I will be releasing our PDF and the character sheets once I finish them up. I'm almost done with the magic on the character sheet and then there'll be a beta release probably or an alpha I guess. And I'll just throw that out there. I'll put that in the link and you guys are more than welcome to use my world and do whatever you'd like. On to the next thing. What did you guys think about
Patreon.
What'd you say?
Subscribe to our Patreon in
We-
order to get the PDF.
No, I mean I could do that, but I really
No.
don't. I really don't think
I
it's
don't-
worth the money.
I don't feel like we have enough traction for that yet.
No, I don't even think it's worth the money to be honest. And besides, like I'm a big believer in terms of this roleplay stuff. Like I don't get paid for any of this. I spend way too much time doing it. This is my hobby. This is for fun. This isn't about money at all. So I'm more than
Exactly.
comfortable releasing it for free. I wanted to ask, what do you guys think about the new magic system? So last season in Fallen, we had our magic system, but it was kind of really shit to be honest. Like, and the numbers, the dice literally just weren't working out yet. Like I hadn't like. There were some updates to the game that happened that made it easier for me, but also just like design decisions because I had to like seriously like sit down and like mechanically come out with all of the stuff and like the backstory and like make it like because each of these like Felcrafts or even the miracles like they need to have a sort of thematic backing like the reason why you have these and like what monsters these come from and tons of stuff. So just overall, like, how do you guys feel about like the new like the Ichor and like Polycraft and like the things that you guys can do with it? And like, what are your general thoughts on Fellcraft slash Miracles?
I like it.
Uh,
I like that it's kind of more. It's like got a harder set of rules, but it also feels like you can really do a lot with it, and it's kind of still like magic, but it's not like, hey, you can just like do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean?
I tried to make it so that like it was based it's not like in D&D where it's like laid out like specifically what every little detail the spell can do and like the words are like the most important thing. It's more of like a narratively it's like what could you possibly do with this thing? And so if you wanted to use your ice magic to explode a lock by freezing it, I think that's like you should be able to do that. Like that was one thing I hated about D&D is like, well, if it's not rules as written, you can't do it. It's like that's kind of stupid. Like I really wanted it to be like anybody could take one of these like pyrocraft or hydrocraft and with that do all these interesting things. Like I think one of the most interesting uses of Minecraft or just like Felcraft in general was when Zammy used it to control bugs to pick a lock for him. Like that's so cool. Like that's so in like that, and it makes perfect sense because like Zammy's whole thing is like the bugs and everything like that. I was like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And I want to like I always hated in D&D when I was like, oh, I should be able to do this with this spell, but instead I can only use it in the exact context it's written about, and that always frustrated me so much. Like I tried to make it so the magic is it has hard rules and it makes sense of what you can kind of do with it, but it's open to creativity. Like you here's like the rules, and then just do whatever you want with it, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about the Ichor limitation? Like, do you guys think it's balanced? Do you guys think like what? Because that wasn't like a hard like sticking point for me, and that's actually one of the reasons why I made tricks and wonders, which are like the cantrip versions. But I'm curious, like, how do you guys feel about like? Do you feel like it's too restrictive? Do you guys feel like it's just right? What do you guys think? I'm curious.
In my opinion, I think with the whole polycraft thing, I really like spending points of Ichor to get like certain things. I really like that. In combat, Finacro is, because he's so low most of the time, he's not really beneficial in it.
Mhm.
And that's just like because he doesn't have reflex and I roll awful. And so I don't know how balanced the combat with the attacks is. But in my opinion, I really like the Ichor and
Well, because
how
I
it
think,
increases
Zammy, you're one of the
spellcraft.
only characters that has like a 2 in the Felcraft vocation, correct?
Yeah.
Because like one thing I wanted to do was to have it so that like you start off with a very small pool, but if you invest in it, you quickly gain a larger pool. And what I really wanted was like to give you guys cool ways, like basically not give you guys all of these like Ichor to use, give you less, but give you tons of ways to recover Ichor. Because like it's cool when like you have to eat a body, or you have to absorb it from an element, or like you have to absorb
But
the
then we
light.
have to retcon.
Yeah, then we have to retcon Zammy because he's fucking nuts. Zammy forgets cannibalism is evil. Whoops, I slipped the
I
mind.
forget cannibal.
What'd you say?
I said I hate when I forget that cannibalism is illegal. It happens all the time.
It happens all the time. Anybody else got any
Um,
other comments on? I'm just curious, like mechanics wise, anything else this season that you guys like dislike? I mean, I think we also swapped up some skills. So I made lift a skill, and I kind of made athletics purely jumping and running and stuff. And then we added endurance, and then the armor came in. Like just any kind of mechanic stuff you guys either like really maybe everyone think of a mechanic they really enjoyed that got added this season, and a mechanic that maybe they think needs a little bit more work on still, or if you can't think of one, maybe something you'd like to see in the future. We can start this time in the reverse order. So Dipper, mechanics you liked, mechanics you didn't like, or if you can't think of one, maybe a mechanic you'd like to see going forward, or that you think could use more work on. Just curious. Because like if you, this is the time where like if you guys remember last season we did this exact same thing on the podcast, and it was really useful for me because I literally, you guys wanted more open world, I gave you more open world. You guys wanted more mechanics and like more like stats and armor and magic and like loot, I did that. You guys wanted like better run combat and stuff, I did that. So this is like I'm literally taking notes, so when you guys like, this is a good, if you guys can think of anything, this is a good time to bring it up. Or just DM me, I don't know. That works too.
I really liked I really liked the new magic. I think Ichor makes stuff a lot more organized. If I had to think of stuff that I can't really think of anything that needs improvement off the top of my head, but I would kind of like to explore the idea of perks more.
Okay.
And also maybe alchemy and stuff like that.
So that is something
because
that's in the work. So that would be and that's good to know. So would you guys kind of like almost like like a Minecraft-esque like Witcher brewing potions things where if you got, because what that kind of would be alchemy would technically be part of spellcraft, and that's the third magic system that I've still been working on, and that's the one where basically like spellcraft is biological magic, miracles just break the laws of reality, but spellcraft is like what the iron breads are, and it's what those electric crystals were that made the elevators work. It's like magic engineering. So it's basically taking the principle, like what your body does with Ichor, that energy that it does, and it creates magic. It's literally scientific ways to use magic in this world. So you'd like to see like crafting things and stuff like that more?
Yeah, and like kind of on that idea, I think we discussed something about this a while ago. Like the idea of runes and stuff, and like other ways to create magic.
So actually, I had a really cool idea, and I actually think I jokingly said it to Jake, but I actually might do it. Would be you could like I was almost thinking of like buffs for your character, and because they were like runes you would have for your character, and they would be tattoos on your body, and that's would be the rune. So it would be magic tattoos, like and
see, I think that would be awesome.
Because then like that so okay so okay. So you'd like to see more crafting and more perks and just and basically more ways to make your character unique.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be really
Exactly.
cool.
Okay. So
I also think like
perks.
I also think like having as in as seeing as the, like probably like this well, like only one of the only two melee characters in the group with plus Dipper. I mean, I guess serious. I guess
That's actually
I
not
guess
true.
Future
Most
too.
well, that's not true. Most of you like are melee focused. I will say that next season, because this season we had, I think in total we had about like 7 fights, 7 or 8 fights. So every other episode we had some kind of fight. Next season, I have kind of, because this season I never tried to, like, my rule is I never want to like beat you guys over the head with things that you guys aren't ready for, and I'm also kind of working out like how mechanically dangerous certain things are, because like I'm having to learn this whole new system, like how much more dangerous is an opponent that has 1 strength point than the 0 strength points, and how much better is that if it had a strength point and a reflex? Is it like a linear power scaling, or is it like exponential and yada yada? So I kind of have to learn that stuff. Next season, I think one of the things I really enjoyed this season, like that last season, and I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent now, but that last battle actually in the dungeon, that was the best. That combat was so good. Like that was the exact way I want combat to work in Fallen. Was it's super narrative, like things are going crazy. There's tons of verticality. Funaki fell down a hole. There's push and pull between the battle, and then when somebody breaks through, it's like a snowball effect where you guys crush or get crushed. And you guys are disarming weapons, and like it was so dynamic. And it like, do you guys remember in D&D where like in D&D you just walk up and you're like, I do 7 damage, and it's like, okay. But in this, like, you're like cutting like like you're severing people's freaking Achilles tendons, and you're disarming them, and like you're freaking like jumping off of buildings and stabbing people in the back.
Yeah,
like
I think
that's
I
so
think one of
much
my
better
favorite
versus
parts-
D&D. Like I was so satisfied with the combat this season, and I'll let you go, Dipper. But that my next season, I'm gonna start introducing more ranged combat threats, and it's kind of like I want to see the interplay between ranged combat and melee combat, and like because that is gonna be fascinating to see. Like, okay, well I'm not as fast as you, so I use ranged combat and I keep at a distance, and I have a barricade or something. Okay, but I'm faster than you. I can catch up to you before you can hit me, and kind of this like I want to see, like this season was introducing the magic into the combat. Next season is going to be much heavier. Like there's gonna be, I'm gonna start working in more ranged combat stuff, because I feel like that's the last missing piece. And then I mean, if we do on top of that spellcraft, perks, magic tattoos, alchemy, like I think we're gonna like it's gonna be insane. Like I'm so excited because like in the end, full stop. Like I want to be able to make this game where I can release this, and if any of you guys ever wanted to run a game in this world and add stuff easily, you absolutely could. But basically make a framework where it's like we can have all these fun adventures in this world, and like have this fun adventures, but have all this mechanic stuff already set up, kind of, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, Dipper, I interrupted you like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying, like, God, I love the combat system in Cogent so much more than D&D. Just kind of adding on to what you were saying, like,
Like, dude, you Assassin
I
Creeded
think,
Helena.
yeah, that was so
Hey,
fun.
please fucking put some points in your climb.
Yeah,
Like, come
yeah.
on,
Oh man,
guys.
I would have.
Like, that's the thing.
But
I
I
don't
did.
think people realized how useful it was until we got into Tailspire. Because when you start
Yeah,
realizing
seriously.
when you get high ground and you can actually see the terrain, you're like, oh, if I can get up somewhere and jump down on people and like sneak attack them, like this is really
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah. But I was saying, I think one of my favorite things about Cogent combat compared to D&D is how you get weaker as you take injuries. Like, you can't be on like 1 health and make an attack just as powerful as if you were at full health, like you can in D&D.
Hmm.
How you
Yeah.
actually have these like penalties and stuff.
Yeah, actually, that's actually a thing I like to bring up. I think a cool thing we could implement is actually like applying the injuries like more to like other statistics rather than just like your combat roll. Like for instance, if
No, it's everything, Grant.
yeah, but I mean like in terms of like speed, like if Dipper slashes someone's Achilles tendon, they're gonna be a lot slower in moving. And for instance, like if Destin managed to slash someone in the stomach, they're probably going to be a lot weaker in their core, so probably not going to be able to carry as much weight. So maybe that reduces their endurance. Maybe that makes them over-encumbered with their current equipment setup. If they're wearing like plate armor and they take a heavy injury, well, now you're a lot less strong. So you're probably going to be able not going to be able to carry. I think implementing that
That's
would be pretty
interesting.
cool.
So just like kind of from a general from like the narrator's perspective here, rules are fun. The problem is you have to kind of balance it with simplicity because like the reason why people love Cogent so much is because um it's not nearly as like I think D&D is needlessly complicated. I think it's complicated, but the complications like basically it's too complicated or the complexity doesn't necessarily add as much as it takes away. So you got to be careful like and I understand. So maybe a penalty um I'll start thinking about some different penalties. So penalty to speed, maybe from injuries, and maybe
Or one thing I can actually because like you know how if the level 4 injury you can like remove someone's limb, you can take off a leg or something.
mhm.
I think implementing that same kind of concept at a lower level would also be good. Like if you get a level 2 victory, you can instead score a level 1 victory and reduce someone's speed. Or if you get a level 3 victory,
Well,
you
that's kind of
can
what
do a little
stagger is if you think about it. Like stagger is like I'm not
yeah
hurting you, I am going to knock you off balance. And I mean
yeah but
thematically, the cool thing is like and here's the thing. Thematically, you could do any of those things. So you could say when you score a medium injury, I specifically target their leg so that they can't run as fast. Or I specifically target their shoulder so it's harder for them to draw a bow. Like you as a player are allowed to make these like you're allowed to say these things and like on the fly when Sirius was shooting water at those spore monsters, I'm like, okay, if these things are getting drenched in water, then these like really light spore particles, they're not gonna be able to fly in the air. And so I'm like, okay, logically that makes sense as a debuff. Like that's the cool thing about Cogent, you can just on the fly make those changes. I'll have to look into that because maybe more penalties is cool. It's just that like, and I'm always hesitant to like complexity. Like you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, does this complexity make the game more interesting? And if it does, then do it. If not, and it's just needless, then there's a good argument just not to do it in the first place. I'll have to think about it though. It might be cool, especially going forward with if we start introducing this more like all these like range things as well. So we have melee ranged magic, maybe having penalties to speed for so that like a ranged character could actually like slow somebody down if they're coming on them. I'll think about that. I wrote it down as a note, so I will definitely consider that. Um, anything else? Here, let's go to somebody new. Sirius. Mechanics you liked,
Oh.
mechanics you don't like, mechanics that you'd like to see more in the future.
I guess magic's kind of the obvious one. I don't think I need to elaborate more on that. In terms of tweaks to magic, I don't think magic has come up enough in combat to where I can say like mechanical tweaks that need to be done, like
Mhm.
Icar spending and all that.
Mhm.
Um,
How do you guys think about the AoE stuff? I
uh,
think the AoE stuff is actually pretty
yeah,
balanced because the
AoE
fact
is
that you,
pretty good.
but the fact that you can see it ahead of time and that you take like you don't gain that +1 from the range, and like I do think that actually like I like the way it is right now. I, and so you like the new magic system. You can't think of anything off the top of your head in terms of tweaks yet. Anything going
Yeah.
forward you like to see more of? Just and not even any mechanic it could be.
Um, it might be
I know commerce
okay.
was
Yeah.
something you were thinking about.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was saying with commerce.
Basically,
I think it was like streamlining so you have
yeah.
costs of things. Yeah. Um, I had something else off the top of my head.
Well, if you want to think about that, we can go to somebody else and come back to you.
That's right. Um, leveling up spellcraft.
Hmm.
So say you have like Hydrocraft and you're like, I want to put a point into this, or I want to put a point into whatever, Polycraft, Minecraft. The only sort of difference that you see with that is sort of one die. So there isn't, I guess, like much incentive to pick that up. I mean, I guess you have like a slight additional edge in combat, but
Hmm.
it might
So
be interesting to see more
so you would like
impact
to
in
see
spending points
something
there.
because from a vocations like when you upgrade your spellcraft or your fellcraft vocation, right? Not only do you gain a dice, but you actually gain like 3 more Ichor. So I can see that. Okay, because I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like to be fair, like the higher your dice roll is from a like your fellcraft roll is, just the more you can do with it. Because like even out of combat, like because if you wanted to do something with it out of combat, you would roll against the difficulty table. So like if you were trying to do something difficult with it, then just having more dice just means you can do more interesting things with your fellcraft. But maybe some kind of, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it would be kind of cool if like each level in a specific fellcraft had like a little side benefit to it. I'm trying to think what we could do.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. I
actually,
mean,
I have an idea.
the same probably goes with like leveling any like skill, like combat related,
Yeah.
like swords and all that. So maybe it's not that big a deal. It was just
Yeah,
kind of a
I think
thought
I
that
think
came
part
up.
of that's just one of like the I think the thing with Kojin is that you like it it's not like in D&D where it's like, oh, you level up your hit dice or something, and like in this it's more of like here you're just generally better at this. It is your job as the player to make like what does that mean for your player? Like
Hmm.
what are you going to do with it? It's less of like, oh, here are these abilities that you can just do this now. It's like you could always try to do this stuff. Now there's a higher likelihood it'll happen, so you can do these things more regularly. I'll think about that though. I'll think if I can think of anything in particular. Any other?
Actually,
It's
Yeah,
I
go
kind
ahead.
of have an idea on that actually.
What do you think?
It's like maybe for like so for instance, if I let's say I have a one in polygraph, like I it's like it's not a zero, it's a one. Let's say I have a one in polygraph, then it's just a normal dice. But if I have a two in polygraph, maybe I have a -1 to the Ichor that it costs to cast a specific to cast a thing around. So I try to boost my reflex, and I try to boost my reflex around. And I have two in polycraft. Then maybe instead of costing 3 Ichor, it costs 2, and it can go down to a
Hmm.
minimum of 1.
So I like it. The problem with that is that completely breaks the balancing of like why
Yeah,
things cost certain things in Polycraft because like I had to think about it for a long time of like okay, like because I mean it is really powerful. Like the magic is so powerful. Like look at what Sirius did with like the here's the thing, right?
yeah.
With magic, it is the problem with it is how versatile it is. So like a 96 in Hydrocraft versus a 96 with a sword, 96 with Hydrocraft is way more dangerous. Like way more dangerous. You have better armor penetration on average because it scales off that. You could use it as a range, you can use it as a melee, you can use it as an AoE. You can do any kind of like water bend, basically all the water bending stuff from Avatar you can do. Like there is just so much, like it is like not just from a combat perspective, but just a utility perspective. It can do so much that it's ridiculous. That's kind of the balance. And Polycraft is the same way. Like I have to always balance, like I can't have, if I ever make it so that it's too cheap to, like, it has to be, it's a very thin line, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I'll ever do that. I like the idea of like if you're better, that it's more efficient, but I'll have to think. Maybe here's an idea. Maybe instead of a, maybe you can have like a separate Icar pool for every different like thing. So let's say I have a let's say I have points in, and now this might be actually a little bit too complicated, but this just came to my head. Maybe if I have like a 2 in Blazecraft, right? Then I have my normal 3 Icar in the background. But then because I have 2 in Blazecraft, I have Blazecraft Icar that is specifically used for that, and it's like a buffer on top of my Icar. Maybe. I don't know. I think that might be a little bit because the whole thing is like, remember, like you actually kind of do have a buffer with all of your Icar stuff because you can absorb Icar, right? And the amount of Icar that you can absorb is tied to your level in that specific Fellcraft you're using. So if you have a 4 in Blazecraft and you absorb Icar, then you would get 4 Icar plus 1 from that. So so actually, hey, there you go, Ivan. That actually is a benefit of having like like technically that is a benefit of those, but
Yeah. Now that
interesting.
I think about it, like I guess you also get slightly extra armor penetration
And
every certain
range,
number of days and range.
because range is
So
scaled off
maybe
dice.
it's just like we haven't worked with a system long enough to be able to
So
say
maybe
anything
the
yet.
narrator is
It is
just
a
brilliant.
very minor thing.
I'm joking.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Okay, but hey, no, I appreciate it.
The only other thing I can think of is durability
Yeah, what do you guys
doesn't
think about
really
that?
seem to factor in that often.
People don't like. I wanted to make it, and here's the thing: I'm not even sure if people are keeping track of it. I, I, maybe durability is something where we get rid of the durability thing on armor and stuff, and we figure out a way to basically make it so that armor can break during combat based on like certain injuries you take, maybe. And that,
Maybe if you take a level, I think it would have to depend on where the injury is. So,
yeah,
like for example, a level 4 and like the person stabbing you in the chest is probably going to render your chest plate horrible for like forever. You got a giant hole in it, right?
Yeah, even if it manages to block
here's
it.
the thing. Technically, like if we're being like, it depends. If this is like Vex's sword, then sure. But and I guess it depends on it. But like technically, they would never like punch through your chest plate because you can't punch through a chest plate with a sword. It's really hard to do that because it's steel.
Even if it's not punching through the plate, like even if they're going through the side, like the straps would be
Yeah,
fucked, or
yeah.
the underlaying. You know what I mean? That would
Well, that's the
cause
thing.
the armor to break.
I would have to think about that. Maybe. Oh, here's an idea. Maybe the only time your armor, oh, I have a very good idea. So what if we just basically have it so that each piece of armor essentially has like strength points, and so either armor has 0, 1, or 2 depending on its quality, and when you take an injury in a specific spot, then instead of having
It
like
absorbs it with the armor point.
yeah, well, instead of taking multiple like your number is 25 and every time you get hit you have to reduce the durability, it only activates when they break through your armor, or maybe maybe it's what your armor is what's protecting you, and that you just remove one of those strength points from it, and that like you used your armor to protect yourself and its durability was weakened a bit because it resisted this powerful attack. Maybe something like that. I'll actually have to think about that. Maybe because I think the problem is right now is that it require, and maybe this is just what, like, maybe you guys just need to keep track of this. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it maybe is a little bit too it feels too D&D right now, where it's like just this, it's raw numerical, and it's not like kind of the elegant, intuitive way that Cogent does most of its other things, where it's like, just add more dice or like reduce armor, like reduce victory. It's just numbers right now, and I like with the range, that was the thing I had to kind of work into the Cogent system, where I tied the range to the amount of dice that you roll, right? Which makes sense because the better you get, the more range you get. But like that's something. Okay, I'll think about that. Armor. I'll rethink some armor stuff.
Another thought that I
have
had was maybe like armor quality score. So instead of individual armor pieces having durability, each armor piece adds to this quality score. And then when you're at like certain intervals, like 3/4, half, 1/4, then like you can narratively say parts of it are less effective if targeted there. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I want to do stuff like that, but it always goes back to this complexity thing, because like the perfect game mechanics are ones that are simple and intuitive. The more complicated I make it, the harder it is that like people won't remember to do it. Like the reason why the strength works so well in terms of reducing injury or like reflex is that it's very simple and intuitive, and the way it works, it doesn't take like there's your math part of your brain never has to come on. You're just going from intuition kind of.
Mhm.
I'll have to think about that, because I do kind of feel like the armor way we have it right now, it's good. It's definitely gotten better now that like endurance now like takes away the negatives, and that's a stat now. And but I'll have to think about that. Okay, good feedback. Um, Zammy, do you have anything?
Um, I have two things. One with combat. Again, we didn't do that much combat, but I would like it to be a bit more dangerous, because I know when the only time I did combat and knew I was like in deep shit was that final combat we had when well, not the final one, the one before in the dungeon, when I was face to face with the Kikimora, and my Minecraft was fractured.
Mm.
And I
Zammy,
was like,
shut
oh
the fuck
crap.
up.
So
Don't
what you
listen to
want
it.
is more
We don't
dangerous
want.
enemies. Well, I could totally do that,
No,
I
Zammy.
do.
no.
I
He was
would
just
love that
kidding.
because the only times I remember like people getting scarred was Dipper getting like level 2 and 3 injuries every combat. But like other
Okay.
than that, it's just everyone like jumps as one person and
Well,
they
here's so,
die
so
in
here's
like
the
2
thing.
rounds.
Realistically, that's how things in real life would like. If you think about it in real life, like if you just have like, I think a lot of it has been that you guys, like, to be fair to you guys have generally done very well in combat because you guys stick together, you focus down targets, and you don't really split up too much. And like, fair enough. And I think what'll happen, Zammy, like, and just so you guys are aware, kind of the tiers of play. You guys just got out of I believe it's called Initiate tier of play if you look on the Cogent rules. So you guys are like at the very bottom, and you guys just this arc have like, you guys are technically next season are gonna be an intermediate. So things are gonna start ramping up, and I mean, I understand. I think you'll get exactly what you want, Sammy, because what's gonna happen this next season? More interesting monsters with more interesting mechanics. Like, how did you guys like the wraiths that you couldn't just always attack? Like, I thought that was really cool. Like, that you actually had to
I
think
like
of a specific, like, you had to either use magic or you had to have a silvered weapon. Like, just normal weapons just wouldn't work against them. So there's kind of like this kind of process you had to think about it. But I suspect what's going to happen going forward, the combat, these mechanics we've been working on are going to kind of mature. Range is going to become a bigger factor. You guys are going to start fighting more and more dangerous things, more and more dangerous people. Um, I have a sneaking suspicion that if what you're wanting, Zammy, is like a next tier of combat, I think you're going to be excited for next season. And another part of this, guys, is that we're kind of making this up as we go. It's kind of my responsibility as the narrator. Like, you guys actually have just rolled very well always, and I think another thing I need to take into account is kind of, usually what I kind of try to do in terms of balancing is I try to balance up against you guys' dice pool average versus theirs. And what I kind of forget sometimes, you guys have destiny points, and destiny points are like a significant advantage. So going forward in the future, you guys probably should expect more interesting and fun combat scenarios where the things that we're working on now are challenged even more, because like these new ways of fighting that like we didn't even really think about before, like how effective stealth can be, how like climbing can be used in combat, how magic and ranged works, how like all of these things. I suspect, and how armor it plays into all of this, and how intelligence can stop Minecraft, and all these like rock paper scissors effects. I have a sneaking suspicion that if you want more difficult combat, then you will be very pleasantly surprised next season. Because another cool thing is that, and Jake can attest, I have all of these monsters I have built in the background. And Jake, I think I showed you one, Jake. Don't spoil. I did,
You
right?
did.
And
Yeah.
I showed you the really dangerous one, right?
Yes, you did.
And because Jake was like planning his game, and I was explaining like how I make these monsters and like how you justify them and stuff. I think you guys are gonna be very pleasantly surprised. I think you guys will see a skill, a difficulty increase as you guys go. And I mean that's like with every good game, right? A game that starts you off and things are just overwhelmingly difficult is not fun. What you want to kind of have in a game is where, as you introduce new mechanics to your player, as they learn it, then as
What
they
about,
learn it, they basically get higher and higher challenges that they have to overcome with those things that they've learned.
What about Dark Souls?
Well, Dark Souls, I would argue, is the same way. Like, the cool thing about Dark Souls is it does kind of put you in these easy areas off the bat. If you run off and go to a crazy hard area, then that's on you. But if you just go, like, kind of on the beaten path, you mean you go to frickin' Undead Burg? Undead Burg is scaled for your level, and you just go through Undead Burg, and you do that. Or if you want, and you're crazy, and you want to go off the rails, which you guys totally can go off the rails if you want. Like if you guys had walked down into the village, demons would have like stomped your shit in, and murdered every single one of you. You could go down to the catacombs and go get murdered. So we'll see.
So I actually have some mechanic things that
Sure.
I wanted to talk about. I like kind of the more improved armor mechanic. Magic is kind of more solid now, because I remember kind of like when we were in the dreams, like we didn't really have clear like rules for the magic.
They weren't written.
Yes, but what I will say is I think for Fellcraft, you gave multiple ways for them to buff the restoration of Ichor. I don't really have that with Light. Like
Yeah.
I actually double checked on the PDF.
You have
like,
two. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, but I don't get a buff from it. Like Zami can regain his natural Ichor, but then can also eat a body and gain extra, or eat a body of.
I guess
a
I balanced
monster
it with
and gain
yours.
extra.
So I guess I balanced it with yours because like Miracles is this thing where it's super powerful right from the get-go, because like okay, in order to absorb Ichor for like Dipper, he has to have a body. You literally either have to have sunlight or strong emotions, which those are like the most ample sources. Like when is there's literally light half the day and there's ample emotions all the time.
But if you let me finish, what I'm saying is like it says you can do it once a day, but like I only got one light restored. So either way, like you're looking at getting 1/3 of your.
No, so Jake, the reason why is because you gain proportionate to the amount in your radiant skill that you have. Does that make sense?
One in Radiance, and I had one in my actual vocation.
Yeah, that's why you gained one.
Okay,
because so
I don't know. I feel like
that makes sense. So when your vocation goes up, so the second your vocation goes up, you're going to be at 6 light, so you double your light. And then the second that your radiance goes up, every time that you absorb light, instead of gaining 1, you gain 2. Does that make sense? So the reason why it's not very powerful right now is because you're not very good at it.
I don't know. I feel like gaining 1 that like doesn't really benefit to a degree, because there's nothing skill wise that I could do besides one shot. If that makes sense. Like I can't even buff with it just being 1.
Yeah, you can. Can't you? Isn't that on the PDF?
No, it's 3 light on the PDF.
Is there no on the PDF? I'm wondering, what is because the blessing things, let me go to the blessings. I'm just curious. With the blessings, Jake, is there, well, now part of that, Jake, is that I kind of do have to balance it because you got to understand with your skills, with your light magic, your 1 radiance can do hard light magic, illusions, and as an attack. So it's like versus like pyrocraft, which can control fire and shoot fireballs. Yours can manipulate light, shoot laser light, make hard light, and do illusions. So that's one of like there has to be sort of a balance because like I actually, Jake, like objectively, miracles are the strongest. They're by far the strongest skill in the game because you also can infinitely resurrect. Like it is
But that also takes my light up. But what I'm just saying is like,
but you're invincible basically. Well, you're not invincible.
I mean,
you know what
but
I mean.
not invincible though. But you've made that clear, Jack. I'm not invincible.
I just if you're so is your complaint that you don't think it's strong enough?
No, I just think like there should be like a better way to absorb. Like if
what
it's
other
like
ideas
just,
do you think about? Because I mean,
I'm just
light
saying
is
that
really good.
maybe it's more of like you roll based off of like your flat vocation roll. Then how many succeeds is how many percentage of the light you can restore instead of just like you get 1.
But
Maybe it's also like the amount of time you just spend outside in the daylight absorbing
I
it.
would agree with that. Like if I spend like that makes sense too. But like I'm just saying like if you look at the versatility to regain Ichor is a lot more than like I have 2 sources, yes, but like what I gain from my 2 sources, I have to put a lot more in than what they do to regain at what level I am, if that makes sense.
I don't think like and maybe we can talk about this later. But like I'm from a math perspective, the way you regain Ichor is the exact like mechanically from the vocation, the skill, it's the exact like I'll be honest, like it is the exact same thing. So, like, the reason why Zami, like, and maybe your one stipulation is because Polycraft can resorb an extra Ichor from eating dead bodies.
Yes.
So
I feel like if
that is simply because that, like, you have to break a taboo, and that's like you are you're giving something up. The reason why Finacrio can regain so much Ichor so quickly is because he actually has points in those skills, so when he actually uses them, he gains a buff from that. Let me double check the rules, but like I'll take a look at it for you, Jake. But mechanically, I think it is the exact same because because the only reason like right now in Radiance, do you have a 1 or a 0?
I have 1,
Okay, so
and then I have 1 in my actual like miracles vocation.
well here, let me look at this afterwards. But like from a what's it called perspective, I think it's the exact same. We might have done it wrong where when you mean a 1, you don't mean a 0, you mean a +1 in your Radiance.
Yes,
Correct?
I have a +1. Yes.
When did you gain that?
You gave it to me.
When?
It was my Christmas point. Like,
Okay, so I'm pretty sure, Jake, because if you just absorb light flat, you gain 1. If you have a point in 1, it would be 1 that base point that you gain regardless of if you have a skill plus your 1 in radiance. So I just don't
okay,
think you
so
added that.
then we just did it. We did it wrong then because you just said I only gained 1. So
Well,
that's
because
all
I
my
think I
bad then.
remembered you having a 0 in that skill, and I didn't know that you'd. I must have not looked at your sheet. My bad.
That's
But
okay.
like the
'cause-
thing is mechanically it is the exact same system for like I know like technically miracles are supposed to like break reality and whatever, but mechanically it works the exact same for Fellcraft and that. Okay, so I think did that answer your question?
yeah, that does.
Okay, that clears that up actually. I might need to make that more clear on the fucking PDF, and that might be
I was
okay.
just looking at the PDF to make sure I didn't miss anything, but there's like not a stipulation on how much light you. There's like it actually doesn't say anything about how much light you can absorb based off your skill.
Does it really not? Okay, well that
It doesn't.
it definitely should. Okay, well then I will fix that. What other anything else? Anybody? Because if not, I have one last question, but I want to make sure I get everybody's opinion on these. Go ahead, Sammy.
A thing I want to see in the future is more in more diverse kind of land and area. And I think that's just 'cause we traveled like a very tiny bit to a small village near Redwall. But like I would like to see like really like wacky areas in a way. Because like with Cryocraft, it's like, oh, you have to spend time near glaciers in like incredibly cold environments. And I'm thinking like, oh, is there like a portion of
Yeah,
the
there
map
is.
that is like always in like this forever winter? And it's like,
Yes,
oh,
there is.
I think yeah. So that's like maybe like have extreme environments of places.
That'd be
That's
cool.
an idea.
I see. Okay.
We
Well, that
could
makes
all
sense to me.
hop on
Well,
a boat and practice boat drifting.
so I tried. That's one thing I tried to do this season. I tried to take you guys to, like, I took you, like, you guys have been in the city. So, because like kind of the two settings, right, were the city, the road, and then the village, and then the dungeon. So you would just like to see kind of more like diverse. Because the cool thing is, like, the more you guys travel, you guys are gonna get that regardless.
I also want to see Mayor Sheriff dead.
Well,
He's
you might
sketchy.
get that. So let me write that down. Okay. Anything else? From a purely mechanic standpoint, like, we're on mechanics. We're gonna get like I have a fun question after this, but this is mechanic stuff.
No, I think the mechanics have really matured and grown since the first season, and I really like where they've gone. It grounds the world more. It makes it feel more like you're immersed in it. You know what I mean? That's why I think the PDF was great, because it allowed us to not like suspend our disbelief. Like it's like us as players and like characters know how we would act with these. You know what I mean? Because we know these things.
Okay, so PDF is good.
PDF is fire.
PDF is fire. By the way, Jake, it is on the PDF.
Where was it on the
The
PDF?
points in a specific miracle skill used to dictate how much light is regained, flavor and creativity is encouraged. It is, but honestly, I need to make that more explicit because it's not highlighted.
Well, because like it says that, but it's like also like if you go on Spellcraft, it shows you like how much. I think it should be added on like the stats rolls and stuff like that, if that makes sense, on the PDF.
Oh, so like under where?
Like where they have like the blessing, the radiance, and then like add something like where.
So underneath
like,
radiance, where it says absorb light or absorb sunlight,
Yeah.
you'd like to see like, oh, like, so move it down there. Okay. Oh, so you were looking there. I see. I had it up
Because
in the
that
miracles.
theoretically made more sense to look there because that's where it said absorb light.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will move that because I think it just needs to be down there as well, and it needs to be explicit that like it's base 1 and then +1 for each skill point. Okay. So, unless anybody has any more mechanics stuff to talk about, my two questions, and then I'll open it up to the room, and then we can wrap this up. First, okay, so this is the narrator's ranking for each character, okay? You guys' alignment, okay? So I have pondered with Jake about this. So, who wants to go first? Who would like to be judged first?
I'll go first. I volunteer.
Okay. So
Volunteers tribute.
Dipper, you are, and actually I wonder if I can like do this in game. Hold on, I can actually do this in can I do this real quick? Let me do this real quick.
Just have us order our tokens how you think
exactly
we align with good and evil.
So here, I'll
If
do this. Here, watch this. So I'll drag you guys over here. So I'll put
Helena
Lady
where evil
Redguard
is.
here. So so here, I'll do it this way. So towards Lady Redguard is good. Towards the masked
Helena
man
is
is evil. Well, actually, I'll put Helena in chaotic. I'll do this. I'll actually use the characters to represent. That's cool over here. So then towards the bottom, I believe right would be chaotic evil. That's where Helena is.
Nice.
Masked man is I'd say he's just true evil.
Who's a lawful character? Kilroy?
I know. I would say Kilroy is actually like I always thought of
I would say
Kilroy.
Vex is pretty lawful.
I would say if this is
I don't
my
know, man.
marking, I would say Vex is true good. I would say Lady Redguard is lawful good. I would say Flint is probably more chaotic good.
We don't have Flint here though.
I'll move Flint out. And then I will place you guys
What's
where
Luck?
in my mind, Luck is lawful neutral / evil.
He's big bad.
Like he does not mind doing bad things, but he does have rules that he follows. Where is Flint?
Yes, all bad things must happen.
So I will
That
put
is his rule.
there. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So here, we can actually so then Luck down, this is actually very cool. So then Luck would be down here towards chaotic evil, or a lawful evil. Okay, so I will place, and Kilroy, I'm going to put Kilroy as true neutral, I think.
Yeah, because Island Kilroy was evil.
Yeah. So then let's see. Okay, so Dipper, you want to go first, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's see.
If I had to rank myself,
yeah, here I'm gonna put you over here. So if you can see here, so up here, this is good. There's Vex. So Vex is good. Here, over here is your chaotic Flint. Over here is your lawful is Lady Redguard. Down here you have your lawful evil, which would be Luck. In the middle here you have your Kilroy, which is your true neutral, and then you have Helena, which is chaotic evil, and then right here is true evil, which is
Masked Man.
Masked Man. So this is good over here, this is bad, and then this over here is lawful, and this over here is chaotic.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that Jack may have been trying to kill Kilroy since session 0, but in fact at one point we had 3 Kilroys in the game.
We did have 3 Kilroys.
Oh yeah.
And I slowly have culled them to 1 Kilroy.
Is he true neutral because he has 1 Kilroy up top, 1 Kilroy in the middle, and 1 Kilroy down bottom?
Yes. Okay, so where do you think you are, Dipper? I'm curious.
So if I had to choose, just taking into consideration everything that Dipper has been through, I would have to say chaotic good.
I'm gonna put Ron the Wise over here on lawful, and then let me put 1 second. Let me put a chaotic here so I finish this out.
Actually, it's I feel like it's between chaotic good and chaotic neutral.
Okay, so you think you would be over here? So this is chaotic neutral / good. Okay, so I think there's no way you're chaotic good. I think you're here. So you're still chaotic neutral, but you are sliding towards evil.
I'm not even that evil though.
Bro, you've murdered 2 helpless people. You've relished in death. You've stolen tons of stuff. When those people died at the very end, you're like, fuck those people.
Okay, listen.
I don't care about them.
The thing that kind of set Dipper off whenever he strangled the person, karma is literally like all that he has, and the thought that these people were trying to take karma from Dipper. Like, that's a big deal.
I know, man, but you threatened to murder a dude because he called you a bad name.
Can I rebut this, though?
Okay, go ahead.
Anakin in Star Wars also thought that the Jedi were going to take Padme away from her, and that's why he destroyed them.
Okay, well, he also killed Padme. Or almost killed Padme.
I would definitely... I think Dipper is right here. Because Dipper... In my opinion, so why do you think he's good? Because like the actions Dipper does in general, like stealing is very like bad because you are taking things from people that doesn't belong to them, and like I don't know, like that to me, I think that's where you belong. Yeah.
No, I understand, but it's not like he's taking everything that person has, and he's taking what he needs to survive.
Do you need a gold watch to survive?
Yeah. To pay for stuff, yes.
Uhtred feels this to the core.
If you were
Okay, so-
stealing stuff and giving it back to the poor, maybe, but it's not what you're doing.
Yeah,
And
I
also,
think Dipper has
wait, hold on. How
pride
many
when he does
times
it.
you robbed that one guy that gave you the boat passage? That was really nice to you guys. You robbed his watch, and then when he got like implicated because he couldn't pay his fine because you guys didn't pay him, you just walked off.
Yeah, well, because he was a dick to me.
He was really not.
Well,
You,
Oh my god.
but you see what I mean?
He's
So,
Actually,
literally Robin
I'm
Hood,
gonna-
but only the
I'm gonna-
stealing part.
I'm gonna side with Dipper. He is stealing from the rich and giving to the poor being himself.
okay.
Exactly. And also Uhtred used to steal stuff, but he has morals and at
He's
heart,
trying
he
to
knows-
change the difference. I don't think Dipper wants to change at the moment.
Okay, but okay. Well, let me talk about this. How long did it take Dipper? And like, look at how Dipper was whenever he first got to Redwall. He was so scared to even think about killing someone.
But now he's more willing to kill
I did-
people. That's a good thing.
Okay, you're twisting my words.
Like, I mean, at least that's
Well, Anakin, here's the thing.
People,
Well,
like-
here's the thing. Jake's character was straight up evil last, like
Hell
Jake's
yeah, dude.
like his character used to slash people's eyes out. Like,
Fuck yeah.
so my point is like just because you're here doesn't mean you can't move on the thing. But like at the current moment, that is like that's where I think you are. So if I had to like definitively put you in a spot, you are in chaotic neutral, bordering on chaotic evil. I see as a very
I think that you
slippery
guys-
slope.
I think that you guys are just racist against cats.
Fuck the furries.
Big time.
Big.
Patriarchy.
Okay, who wants to go next? Who wants to be judged?
The catriarchy.
Oh.
Judge me. Judge me.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So Dustin. Dustin, where do you think you are?
Neutral. True neutral.
Yeah,
I don't think. Oh, we're echoing. Sorry.
voice done great.
Yeah, I don't think Destin's. I don't think he's shown like that he cares about people and stuff, but he hasn't done like anything super good or super bad. He's basically he's basically still a hired sword that is with the party because of the masked man. Like I don't think he's done enough yet to show that he's like either a good guy or a bad guy, and I don't think that he truly belongs in either of those categories either. Because he's just, I don't know, he's a neutral character. He's there to do a job. He's fighting to protect the people he's hired, and people that he's grown to care about in some small degree, and partially
thank
because
you.
of his
So
old
kind
past.
of you.
Fuck you! I'll kill you next time.
So do you want the narrator's placement?
Yes, please
Okay,
do.
you're over here.
Yeah.
You're lawful because you.
I'm lawful.
Yeah, because you follow a code. Like you literally live by a code. You are hired to do a job, and you do the job regardless of what the job is.
Yeah. And
like-
if I can throw
And
in there,
you
like,
are
look at-
definitely
look at-
more. You're closer to evil than good because you totally like made a deal. Like if anything, you're probably not fully lawful. You're like here. Because you did have a contract from the mayor, and you told him you were
broke
going to do it
that.
that night, and you broke that. So you are like here, but you're definitely more lawful.
If I can add on to that though, like look at how Destin reacted whenever he found out what happened to Tessa.
True. But like again, actions like it's nice to be sad about things, but actions matter the most. Like what you actually choose to do. So I would put you are definitely lawful neutral. You're closer to lawful evil than good, but not like Dipper is the closest to evil. Okay. Well, besides Helena.
can agree with
Helena
that.
is evil.
I can agree with that.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay. So where do you think you are?
Throw me in the lawful neutral corner with everyone else.
Lawful
Ooh.
neutral.
Right there.
So I actually think
Or chaotic because of the boat drifting. But
I think you're.
Hell yeah. Boat drifting.
Because like Sirius didn't want to kill Karma's pursuers to begin with because he was.
I
kinda,
think
like,
Sirius
trying
is
to-
one of the more moral characters, actually. Because I'm trying to
Oh,
think,
okay.
what objectively bad thing has Sirius done, really?
Not really anything.
Anything. And
I
like
mean,
he
kind of
defends
got
his friends.
swept up with.
You held Kilroy as he died, like, and I guess most of you would have, but like you tried to like.
Yeah.
I would say that. I think
Zamia would have.
I think Sirius is. I think actually you're true neutral because like. Well, actually, are you chaotic? Actually, because you did
Not
burn that.
really.
You burned that what's
There-
it called hand,
there's-
but you do live by a code. I'm gonna put you. I think
Yeah.
you're less lawful than
Yeah,
Dustin,
that's definitely
but you're
fair.
closer to good. So I think you're like, you are like, if I had firmly put you in a category, you would technically be in lawful neutral, but I think you're lawful neutral, but like halfway in between true neutral and lawful
Yeah.
neutral, but you're bordering on good. Okay, interesting. I think that's where I would, because you're definitely not chaotic, because you
No.
kind of do have a code that you live by.
Yes.
Fanakra or Uhtred, who wants to go?
So I'll use Amy.
Hi, that's me.
So Zami,
Um,
where do you think you belong? So this up here is good. This down here is evil. This over here is lawful, and this over here is chaotic.
okay, I think,
Hmm. Interesting. So you think you are lawful good?
I think out of either kind of with serious borderlining lawful good,
that is some
lawful
bullshit.
neutral,
Yeah,
but I think
I don't.
he's a
Well,
bit
let him
more.
explain himself. Let him explain himself. He's allowed to defend it.
I think he's still good. He has a good kind of maybe-ish mindset.
I think
Um,
so, because you did make the masked man deal just to protect your people. And
and
like,
that was a bit selfish. Never mind.
I would, if I would do this, I would go this here. I would say are you more lawful than serious? Do you follow a code more than serious? I don't think so, actually. I think you're here. I think
I know it's
you're.
retcon. I know it's retcon, but he literally tried to fucking
Oh yeah.
eat someone.
Oh, if he did eat somebody, he would be like over here. Like cannibalism is fucking evil. Like just for
Depends on the time of
power.
day.
Now the only problem
Is-
is, Zammy, you did like try to eat Kilroy's dreams for no real reason.
I also didn't know that was harmful, and I think in my mind when I was doing it, I was
Sammy,
just
you
like,
can't
oh,
keep
come on.
doing bad things and then like I didn't realize.
In my mind, it was just like, oh, I'm just invading his boundary, but it's fine because I'm gonna be helping people, and then I'll do like a big apology. I didn't know absorbing someone's dreams was actually harmful.
Hitler, I thought I was helping
Maybe-
people.
Maybe we're just watching an evil person play a good character.
Okay, Sammy, you're right there. I think you're the close. You're probably, if with the retcon, you are the most moral character technically.
Yeah, I think I'm closer to Vax than I would be Lady Redguard.
Yes, I agree, and I think that reflects it. Okay, finally, Jake. Jake, where do you think
Okay.
you are?
So I think at the moment I am more on the lawful side, but closer to the evil side. Not as evil as Dipper, but not as good as Destin.
Hmm.
And I will justify this. Now, Uhtred will do bad things, but in all reality, he is sticking to his code of finding Vex and trying to protect those he cares for, which is Kilroy and Vex and Sirius. So that would be like he didn't give a fuck about the people in the town, and he was ready to abandon them. So that's not technically breaking his code that he's following.
It's
at the
not,
moment.
but you did promise you would do that, so that is a knock against your lawfulness. And you also did make a promise with that guy, and then you murdered him.
But we were contracted to kill that guy.
Yeah, but then you should have made the promise.
But he did hurt Kilroy, and I was trying to protect Kilroy, so.
I think are you more lawful than Kilroy? I would say you're more lawful than Kilroy. Are you eviler than Kilroy? Probably a little bit. Are you eviler than Finacrio? Probably. Are you less lawful than Finacrio? Yeah, because you kind of do bend the rules.
But you got to think. You're saying the rules in terms of your world, but when you look at lawful, it's your own moral code.
True, but you said that you protect your friends and family, but Bioka and like Finna used to be in your family, and you've abandoned them
They used to
completely.
be, but now they're not. Though.
And
But
then
now they're not,
Helena was
though.
in it, and you abandoned her.
But who was she threatening? The group.
I
And
would
also,
I would
you're looking
say
at
this is I would say you're here. I don't think you're as evil. I think you're a little more evil than Kilroy, because Kilroy was he had his flaws. I would put you here, 'cause I do think you are less. I think you are technically lawful because you do follow code, but especially given just the fragility of your mind, and like you made the deal with the guy, you killed him. You made the deal with the what's it called? So you're not a man of your word. So like or at least with certain people, I would say that technically like makes you less lawful, even if you are living by your code, but your code seems to shift a bit. So I would say you're there. So if you look, actually, this actually makes a lot of sense. Like most of the party is like lawful neutral esque. So more people are lawful than chaotic. And just so you guys know, like chaotic would be like you don't have a code you live by, but it's more of in the moment you decide what to do, kind of based on what you kind of choose to do.
Put this gate up, Sage.
Huh?
I
What'd you
think he
say?
was talking to us.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't muted. Sorry, guys.
I think this is correct. I don't know. Does anybody have any like disputes? But I think this to me is what makes sense. I think so. Okay.
I like it too.
I like how different. I like how all of us are in like a pretty like close group, and they're just different.
Well, it's because he steals and he like does whatever he wants.
If we say we want to,
Be a player.
if we say we want to join the cult of Amon, will we move from here to here?
Actually, technically, the cult of Amon would be more towards just straight evil.
Oh yeah, we all just moved down.
Yeah, because cult of
Yeah,
Amon is,
me.
You all
well, I
just
guess their morals are being free,
yeah.
which like sounds more chaotic than lawful.
It probably is. It's probably just overall, it's a trend more towards just true evil. Because it is.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. The main founder guy is the same moral stance as everyone else.
He's the world. He's this world's devil, right? So I would say, okay. So then, with that out of the way, one last question from the narrator, and then if anybody has any other questions, then we can ask them. Then if not, we're done. If anybody has questions for me, my questions, last question, would be, where do you think the story's going?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know anything about luck or anything.
Hey, one
so I
second.
have
Hey, Grant.
No idea.
Just bring your voice down a bit, but I don't want that echo.
Sorry. I don't know anything about luck or anything, so I have no idea where this is going.
Well, I'd say we'll probably go find Vex, and I think we'll have a showdown with the cult.
Okay. I feel like nobody knows where to
I'm-
predict. Yeah. I don't know if that's good though. I mean,
you made an emphasis that luck kind of gave off bad vibes or something
yeah.
the first
Yeah.
time around. So
He
Well, he always gives off bad vibes to me, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, so nobody knows. So, does anybody have any questions for me? And if you don't, then we can wrap this up. But I would be curious to hear if anybody has any questions for me or your other players in the group.
I have one actually. But I was thinking of, when did you decide that the town would be? Was there ever a point where you decided, oh, the town cannot be saved, or was there a chance that like we could have stopped what happened to Tunton?
So actually, like if you guys think about it, if you guys had basically done this quicker, because yes, if you guys had actually done if you'd actually because the eclipse was kind of I wasn't able to you guys killed Helena so quickly.
Hell yeah.
The eclipse didn't happen, remember, until the day after. So if you guys that night had taken care of the problem, things might have happened much differently.
But would the town probably have still been destroyed? Because I felt like Helena was not gonna let us get away with that. Like I don't think she, from what I saw at least, I don't think I think she was in position where, like, if she wanted us to not get in her way, she could have done that. I feel like
Kind of, but the thing is, like, if you saw, like, you guys could go toe to toe with Helena if it's all of you. Helena, in my mind, like, again, she even said this is like her test. And so the resources that she would have had available to her, she kind of, if she couldn't kind of set this up by herself, then that might not have been what's best for her. I like basically, had you guys gone there earlier, basically if you guys had just had more time and you had understood what was happening sooner, you guys could have evacuated the town. You guys could have done a lot of different things. I mean, it was a pretty bad situation because, again, like, there were no guards in town. Um, there were demon elements already infesting the town. There was already a cult of Amon sect. Like, there were things that were seriously wrong. Definitely, you guys not fulfilling your contract and actually doing what you guys said you were gonna do. There were that was the big kind of like, okay, this goes from, okay, like, this is like a uphill battle, but like some good might come out of this, to where it's like, we're just trying to make sure we don't plummet straight into hell. It's like, we got it, like, we're just trying to dial back how bad this is gonna be. um and that was a choice, and I think it was funny because had you guys just gone straight there, you guys probably would have steamrolled still. You guys were so strong. Like, especially, like, you guys, like, just creamed the like, I think you guys were worried that, like, oh, like, we might not be able to take out these, like, bandits, but, like, they were just like common bandits that were, like, they're used to, like, picking on caravans and stuff. They weren't like, battle, like, there was only a couple battle hardened soldiers, and you guys stealth attacked like half of them and threw them off a ledge and cut their head off with water. I mean, so yes, it could have
I
gone
have a
better.
question for the narrator,
Mm.
and then I have a statement for Zammy. Okay, question for narrator. Since it got retconned, but we technically saw it, is Lancer basically trying to become a fucking demon?
So I'm gonna edit that part of the video so people really know what they're talking about. But yeah, that was another thing. Like, it's certain things didn't happen when you guys didn't go deep enough into the dungeon, so I need to do certain things. So I kind of had to make certain things a certain way. I'm not gonna confirm or deny that at this point. You should basically treat, like, what you saw there as
Dream,
as
it's never
uncanon,
happened.
but you guys definitely know Lancer, or Lance is, like, he's a guy out there, and he, in some way or another, was colluding with the demons, and so
And
maybe
then
he'll be back. I don't know.
my statement for Zammy is I have one of my favorite moments for your character that I forgot to say, but I liked that moment when Zammy kind of showed his true good nature, which is why I agree with him being the most moral, even though he did eat a person, but that was retconned. Was when you saw kind of members of the party that typically don't show emotion, like when you saw Uhtred basically like PTSD 1,000 yard stare, like you actually knelt down and tried to like see what was going on. So I would definitely agree with that. That's one of my favorite like Finocchio moments, but I definitely think that that shows that he's the most moral out of all of us.
And he's a bug.
And he is a bug.
Oh God, that's awful. I have a question for everyone. At the end of the session, narrator, you said we'd all get an attribute point, right?
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
What do y'all plan on adding
Yes.
for your
Good.
attribute?
I'm really.
So I
'cause I'm
intend to give
conflicted.
Helena another strength point.
Fuck you.
No,
Fuck
bad.
you.
Stop it.
Bad.
Bad. No.
That's
Bad Jack.
fantastic. I
No.
think you
Stop
should
it.
do it.
Even more
Bad Jack.
powerful.
Bad Jack. No.
But actually, what I was thinking, I was trying to decide whether I should put a point into strength or reflex. Because what screwed over Destin there and made him so he wasn't able to save anybody, to save those people, was he was too slow. So I was thinking that might be like a point where he has to try. He's like, I have to try to diversify myself. I need to get faster. I need to be able to make these, be faster to make these saves. So I'm trying to figure out that right now, or if I just want to go full strength and just like go really hard. That
Basically, your question is: do you
strong
want to be a
power.
do you want to be a tank or do you want to be a?
sure.
Because if you're a tank, then like strengths would go because you can literally just reduce more. Like, and just so you guys know, the best way to use your strength, like the cool thing about strength, is that it regenerates instantly, like 5 minutes after a combat. So if you're in a dungeon crawl, it can like it's like this constant buffer, always protecting your health. So it's really like strength got such a powerful buff. Like you guys saw
Beefy
how
Trump
long
boy.
you see how long Helena lasted. And she was
Yeah.
taking like level like 2 victory, level 2 victory, level 2 victory with a little bit of armor and strength. You are like, so your question: do I want to be more of a tank or would I want to actually be a little bit more of a skirmisher? It's your choice.
I'm thinking Uhtred's got the speed covered. I'm still trying to decide. I'm thinking I'm going might go strength.
I'm
I'd be-
actually
I'd be curious
torn
if-
for Uhtred, kind
I
of
will
like you
come-
are.
I'll become beef testosterone.
And just so you guys know, if you
Yeah.
get an intelligence, you do get +3 skills to just spend however you want.
Yeah, that
absurd.
is what I was kind of torn on. So when of course when Uhtred was originally made, I chose Mudblood, which I was told I would never be the strongest. So kind of the whole like tank was kind of just out of question. So like I kind of was like Jack Nose was kind of building more like a rogue, right? Like kind of just have to be quick on your feet, I guess. So I'm torn between intelligence and another reflex because like reflex is really good in combat for turn order and speed, but also int is slept on because it does say in the cogent rules that if you have intelligence, you gain skills faster.
Actually, it doesn't say that, but that's the way I think about it. And also, like,
But
you gotta understand, it buffs general knowledge, persuasion, infiltration, like deception. Like, these are some of these strong, like, persuasion. Like, and I'm gonna start using it more and more because I really like it. It is such a powerful skill. Like, every time you guys talked, like, I remember when Dustin rolled a 3 and got you guys like 75 bronze worth of equipment. Like, persuasion is really strong.
Remember when Dipper just keeps hoarding money and he's the richest out of all of us now?
Yeah.
No, actually, Finocchio is.
He's got that Catman gold.
So,
that hidden
It's
Catman
true.
so
gold.
one thing to think about, just for all of you, is that when you do diversify in terms of your attributes, you technically kind of take a penalty to your vocation. Because if a
Yep.
vocation is governed by a stat, would
I guess it would depend like on a vocation by vocation basis.
technically you're only supposed to have allowed to have one attribute govern a vocation. I would need to think about that because it doesn't really make sense that if your vocation was soldier, that being smarter, stronger, and faster wouldn't make you better. But if you were a scientist, then obviously being stronger doesn't make you a better scientist.
Sorry, I realized.
Listen, check the brain's a muscle. Yeah,
I realized.
lift.
I realized I wasn't muted again. I said stop to my cat, not you guys.
Oh, you're good.
Listen,
I really enjoyed
go
having a high.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Uh, I really enjoyed having a high persuasion, but in every instance where like I was there and could use persuasion, I decided not to. And it was just like, yeah, Finocchio doesn't care. That's what reminded me of when we were talking about persuasion.
Serious for.
So just think about it because that is because like 3 skills wherever you want. That's
It's
pretty
real
good. Because like
powerful.
the way to think about it is that like most of your rolls that you do are rolls, right? So if you can just buff, like literally just get more dice on your rolls, like
Yeah.
that's really powerful because you can put that on combat stats. Like there's nothing stopping you from putting points into your vocation and combat stats, like
Yep.
straight in.
Yeah,
So
if I got one int, I could get a +1 greatsword, +2. I could get like +1 greatsword, +1 endurance, +1 athletics, and that would just be absurd.
But then
Like-
also you got to think of if I choose intelligence, Uhtred will finally learn how to read.
Well, the thing is, Grant, can you even level up your vocation anymore?
I can't. But I can put stuff into greatsword and bladed.
Yeah, so like there are legitimate reasons why intelligence is good, but all of them are really strong. I mean, like, so nobody knows what they want, Zammy, it sounds like. Serious, are you finally gonna get a reflex?
I might. I mean, I'm also thinking about the int.
Yeah, it's good, dude.
Because that benefits me. Because like I have a lot of int-based skills already.
Yeah, and
And I
noble.
think
Yeah.
at least one of them, I'll actually get the adept or whatever on
Yeah.
it, so I don't have to roll for like
Expert.
3 or 4 or lower. Yeah, expert.
Well, I can become. I
So,
can put. Oh, actually, no, that's vocation. Never mind. I was thinking
yeah.
I could become an expert mercenary. I'd have an 8 in mercenary rolls if I took 1 strength.
But that's really good.
Yeah.
Like like you got to realize that having having
Yeah, that
more points in that assist means that that's adding a dice to your combat roll basically.
yeah,
Oh,
because currently,
also,
So that's actually adding
Um,
2 dice to your combat roll technically, Grant, when you get pick a strength, because you add
Yeah.
1 from the strength and then you add 1 because that governs your assist skill.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
there's compelling arguments for
You
everything.
know what? I'm just make the executive decision right now. I'm adding that strength point. I'm
Damn.
gonna be the tank. I'm gonna be strong enough to carry all y'all.
Oh my god. Grant's character just
Strong
went up
beat
2
punk.
dice. Fuck.
Yeah,
Strong.
I guess I'm in the same boat, but since like noble, I get my sword skill from noble, which I think is
Yeah.
dictated. So just more combat effectiveness, better skills overall is really good because I could spend those in like my polycraft and level those up a bunch. But at
Those
the
are the
same
one.
time,
Wait,
I
hold on.
also
The Felcrafts are the one where you have to talk to me about it first.
okay.
But since you guys have the Masked Man, you guys technically have infinite resources, so that could work.
And I have luck now, so that also works.
This is true. Would luck teach you though? That's the question.
He
No, he's a
would.
jackass.
Luck's luck.
He
Jake.
would. If I accept his father's question.
Be my man.
I barely know anything about Luck, but I know he's a pussy ass little
Well, the
rich
first
boy.
time I met him, he tried to kill me. So.
Hey guys, first session, let's have a 1v1 between Luck and Dustin.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose. I'll definitely lose, but I'll do it.
He's just gonna cheese you with magic.
Yeah.
Dipper, what are you thinking?
um,
Um,
I am hoping that Dipper finds more self-discovery and kind of figures out who he wants to be and what he wants to do, especially in relation to the party. He definitely has a motive now, though. He has something that he's working towards, which is not something that he's had for a long time. So I feel like this is gonna really help. I am also kind of interested in something else that I shouldn't really talk about, but it's I'm excited. I'll just put it into that I'm very excited to meet new characters, especially now that a lot of the good ones are getting killed off.
Yeah, it's almost like
Question
some
for you,
NPC
Finocchio.
spots are opening up in the party.
Finocchio, Sammy, where are you going to put your point?
I've been battling between intelligence and strength. The
Ooh,
only thing I think I'm gonna do intelligence, but the only thing that's like kind of steering me away from intelligence is the fact that Finocrio's mind did get broken.
But would that fix your mind?
Were you asking me where I wanted to put my point, or where
I
what
very
was
much
thinking
was
about?
asking that.
I'm so sorry. I thought you were just.
Yeah,
asking
I thought it was
Jack's
funny that
question.
he just started going off.
I'm thinking probably intelligence, so that way I can have the additional skill points to put into other stuff. I was kind of thinking strength at first, but I don't know.
Strength would help with climb.
Dipper's kind of,
And you get hurt all the
Dipper's
time.
kind of skimpy.
Fair enough.
And also, I do think that Dipper is much smarter than he is strong. So
yeah. Yeah, if you
Also-
That's debatable.
if you got that intelligence, you could put like 2 into climb, which would be more than a strength point, and you could like put that 1 point into like a fellcraft or some other like your weapon skills,
yeah,
or
The
your
next-
sleight of hand.
Next question for Finocchio. Will you ever try to feed off of someone's dreams again?
Ooh.
That is, I think I don't think he's gonna attempt it. Maybe the
The stupider people.
thoughts of someone, maybe. I think now, once he does regain Minecraft, and something I remembered a little bit ago is that Finocchio, I believe, is going to get a dream because him and the masked man talked about it, and that was, I believe, the only way that the masked man knew how to like fix his mind is going deep into his
That is
subconscious and
true.
fixing it. But now he's gonna be much more wary of Minecraft, and now he even has a new spellcraft, Sonocraft, to use during combat. But I think now he's gonna be a lot more scared. And like, this sounds awful, but I don't even know if he was that sad when Kilroy died. Because one, they never had a moment that they shared together that really boosted
True.
their opinion of one another. And then the whole dream
That is true.
that fucked Pronacrio up. And so, yeah, that's where I'm. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think it's just Zami's internal bias against Kilroy.
I hate to
Yeah, kind of. Kilroy's such. Sorry.
I hate to kind of interrupt, but I unfortunately do have to head out, guys.
You're good.
Oh,
Real
that's
quick,
good, man.
and if does anybody else have any other questions? You guys want to wrap it here, or are there any other questions people wanted to ask each other? Because Dipper, you are good to go.
Alrighty, I'll see you guys. Adios.
Yeah, man.
Happy holidays.
Anybody else got any last second questions before we wrap this up? Any questions for me, your fellow players?
I got one actually. Jack, how fucked are we? Like, in terms of the total, like, with the destruction of the town, us being there, luck showing up, Helena existing, Helena knows we exist, Helena having the time to kind of gauge our threat, considering like she was there for the entire time of us like trying to fix this problem in the town, us fighting her personally.
we're pretty fucked.
Yeah, like,
Okay, so
are
let,
we?
let, let me put it
Did
this
we
way.
make?
Let me put it this way.
Did we make things worse by actively engaging her?
Ooh. Did you make things worse by going there? And you killed a bunch of Lancers, which technically was a benefit, but like, what was gonna happen there was gonna kind of happen. You guys just happened to fall into it, and like fate, and so I don't think you guys made it any worse. I think it literally like, you guys only made it worse because you guys let Killer get killed. I would say overall, like, it was already maximum bad.
Yeah.
You guys just
I also,
happened.
also
Yeah, like
there's
I don't think you guys made it any worse besides losing Kilroy, but like what was gonna happen to the town, the worst possible thing happened to the town.
oh, I have one question I want to ask regarding Kilroy. There was a Destiny roll that we did like the night before, and we got a net 20 on. Was that Kilroy leaving and getting
I believe that was if
kidnapped,
I think there
or?
was a couple things I forget off the top of my head, but I think it was also like if he was gonna take some certain items.
Like the cart.
Yeah. So there were certain things that I don't think he took because you guys rolled well.
Ooh,
Gotcha.
Zammy should, because he uses an axe, right?
Where's the axe?
No. God, no.
Zammy, what do you use as your weapon though? Like you carry one
Man
with
catcher.
you.
I got a man catcher,
But
and then I
before
had
that,
a dagger. I had
I'm,
a mace, and that blew up
oh,
in Nox's tavern.
I was going to say, Zammy, if he had an axe, he should totally take that magic axe and use it as his main weapon.
He should, but where is it?
It's in the cart.
Yeah.
Damn it!
Wait,
Um,
what happened to the cart? We need to find that.
Yeah.
Oh no, did it get to? Oh no.
The
My
entire
question,
tavern burned down.
my question for Sirius, what did you? How did you? What did your character think with how Uhtred is now acting after Kilroy's death?
Um,
Because out of
that's a good
anyone,
question.
the two like the players, like the player that Uhtred would be closest to is Sirius. Like
Yeah,
we're boat drifting boys.
I think
Oh,
Sirius would try to. Hmm.
You guys are the only two originals, actually.
We are the only two
Guess
OGs.
You
so.
guys are the
We're
only ones who aren't dead,
OGs.
because Randy's dead, Felix is missing,
Knox.
Knox is missing, Kilroy's dead,
Vex is MIA.
Vex is MIA. Helena's a demon.
Yeah.
Yes. Internal death.
So you guys are the only survivors.
I mean, I don't know. He probably at least try to stick with Uhtred, since they kind of have that bond, and try to kind of encourage him or whatever along his
yeah.
path.
Well, you guys you
Um,
guys are bound by the Masked Man's oath still, remember?
Yeah.
No, I just meant
So
like
I mean, like the last things that Sirius kind of told you, kind of was like, we should focus on like the task at hand or whatever, and keep moving
Yep.
forward because we don't really have much else. So
Also, we should all kill Luck in his sleep.
Ugh, he needs to die.
I have a question for Sirius as well. Even me as a player, your Sirius is just completely shrouded in mystery, and I even struggle to even read him as a character. He's a complete mystery to me. And when I'm role playing Finocchio, I think you and I have the most unique relationship in his eyes, because you guys don't ever really interact, but I feel like there's this constant tension between us two. And
Racism.
my question is, yeah, my question is, just why are you the way that you are?
So why are you a bigot?
Why,
Cancel, serious.
why are you like this? And do you think that is Sirius is kind of biased against Kiki's? And as he gets to know Finocchio more, do you think that'll like be better, you know?
Well, I mean, I pretty much can't say anything without spoiling parts of Sirius's backstory.
Just say yes or
Um,
no to my question I DM'd you earlier.
Yeah.
It will reveal all.
Say nothing.
I mean, I think with time, Sirius can expand his circle of trust. But there's complicated things that kind of have to be considered before that can happen, I guess. That
I
is my
think maybe
vague.
we should slit his throat in the middle of the night.
Okay, well, I mean, if you're asking me to do it, I'll do it.
Oh no, I'm asking to slit your throat.
Oh, well, I mean,
Slit
that's
each
gonna be
other's
So much for
throat.
him
That's a
being the most
bonding
moral
experience.
character.
Slit each other's throat is a bonding experience.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, Sirius, I think obviously doesn't have a positive view of you, mainly because he's been kind of raised in an environment where Kikis have been looked down upon.
As they should be.
Yeah.
So one last question: where do you guys think your character's mental states are?
Oh.
Destin's definitely depressed right now. Just like he's lost people before, but like this is pretty bad. And with the destruction of the town all around them, it's just kind of a general sense of like, fuck.
Well, we know where
You were
Xandes
hired to
is.
protect them, and you failed yet again.
I protected the people I was hired to protect.
Not Kilroy.
Well, no wait, no, never mind.
Oh,
No, never mind. I fucked up.
Well, you guys were paid to protect the town by killing the guys, and you
yeah.
didn't.
Okay, they never say anything about fucking demons. Okay, we're hired to kill lancers, and we did that pretty well.
I would say Uhtred's mind is teetering on shattered. I'd say a lot of his past is finally caught up to him that he hasn't had time to deal with.
With Finocchio, literally his mind is shattered, but there's still this kind of fire and ignited in him, that kind of like this determination, and I don't think he's going to tip over to kind of like a depressive state or this really bad mental state unless things start happening and yeah.
Sirius
what
is
if
mysterious,
Sirius is
so
mysterious?
God.
I will
As
refrain from saying
always.
anything. I guess the only thing I will mention is that, well, do I even want to mention that? I mean, I guess I might as
As long
well.
as it's probably
Uh,
you're probably good.
yeah. Basically, like after Kilroy's like death, like you notice that like Sirius kind of broke down for a second. But then he kind of went back to normal, kind of,
Hmm.
and kind of went. His focus kind of shifted. So whether that's a sign of strong mental fortitude or something else, I will leave that for you to think about.
I think it's funny, because throughout the whole dreams, we saw Sirius completely kind of break down and retract when Belfort died. Versus the opposite, like Uhtred kind of never dealt with it, so now the roles have kind of reversed.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think it's gonna be fascinating. I think it's just funny that what I'm kind
Narrator,
of
what is the time skip that you're thinking?
about 6 months. I'm thinking. I honestly I don't have anything set in stone yet. I'm gonna take a break here. I need a break from all of this. It's a lot of work, and there'll be actually Jake's game will be happening soon.
If
Um,
people get their character sheets
I'll
made.
try to get it done today. But I am curious to see how the party like. I'm kind of considering like I'm thinking about this now. I'm almost considering moving Kilroy. I can't move him right now for some reason. Why can't I move Kilroy? I was gonna move Kilroy actually up a bit because now that I think about it, I think for the most part Kilroy, because it's interesting when Kilroy died, it broke Sirius and Uhtred. Um, I have a sneaking I don't know, because Kilroy was always bounded by he would try to do what he thought what like Vex would like want him to do. I kind of have a feeling that at the moment, if you look at the clustering here, you guys are pulling. I think it depends. I mean, like it's gonna be interesting. I try to give this to you guys as players, and I don't try to give you much input on it. It's your choice. I mean, you in a story, right? What makes stories good is conflict, and the best conflict is like really like it's the stuff that actually can like break a character, and uh, some characters crumple under it, but the heroes are the ones who can overcome it. I don't know if you guys are gonna overcome. Like you guys all have these issues that you have for yourselves. I don't know if certain characters are gonna overcome it. I'm kind of interested to see the moral compass of the party shift because I think Kilroy was definitely pulling you guys towards good because he wanted to try to do what he thought Vex would like. And I have a sneaking suspicion that when you're not bound by that, especially going into the scenarios that you're going to have to, and that you've made the deal with the masked man, and that you have luck now, I'm interested to see where it goes long term. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Well,
I think that's pretty much all I had
yeah,
questions.
yeah. That's. Anybody else got anything else, or are we good?
I think
Well,
we're good.
I have a question about the sword reveal,
Oh
but
yeah.
I feel like we
You
would
can ask
discuss
it
that
real.
afterwards.
Ask it real quick.
All right. Well, like, what does it
Hey,
do?
Greg, voice down again.
Sorry, mechanically, like, what is it? Like, is it just +1, or is like there anything else?
Oh, if it's not anything related to story, then we'll have to talk about it later.
All right, cool.
Okay. Well,
Actually, well, yeah, actually, that's probably better. The origins of that is probably better, like, saved for end game. So save it for then.
well, with that, I think we're done. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Thanks for being with us on this journey. Thanks for all the players for participating and like I am excited where this goes in the future. I will let you guys know probably another 3 to 4 month time break for me again to kind of not be narrating, but we're definitely not done with this. So thanks so much everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe, and
Find the bell icon.
we will catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.